Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Oh, have we got a service for you? I hope you guys are ready to sing a little bit. It's time to wake up, get that coffee going. Let's sing a little bit here. Early in the morning, when I rise, I lift my hands in praise because I'm alive. Feel that in your body. Late at night, when I lay down, I lift my heart in praise for the love I found. And I sing, ooh, 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 for the love I found. Let's do it again. Early in the morning, when I rise, I lift my hands in praise because I'm alive. And late at night, when I lay down, I lift my heart in praise for the love I found. And I sing, ooh, 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 for the love I found. Let's do it one more time. Early in the morning, when I rise, I lift my hands in praise because I'm alive. Late at night, when I lay down, I lift my heart in praise for the love I found. And I sing, ooh, 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 for the love I found. For the love I found. For the love I found.
Thank you, Janine. What a great way to start our day today. My name is Greg Saltis, and I want to welcome all of you to Olympia's streaming online service, knowing that your home is also our church, so that we may all come together and pray together. Unity of Olympia is a welcoming community, committed to a vision of a world powerfully transformed through a growing movement of spiritual awakening. We are here to celebrate, meditate, learn, serve, and to affirm the divine in all. Well, today we have some excitement. We're having some technical difficulties, and our guest speaker, Audrey, is unfortunately not able to connect with us through audio. So we are going for an alternative service. So I will light the Christ candle this morning, knowing that at Unity, we are culturally Christian, but that we are spiritually unlimited. So I have a Christ candle here, and I will light the Christ candle as a symbol of the Christ light that shines in all of us. And now if you will join me in an opening prayer. As we come together during these times, we know that we remain a community spiritually lifted, showing the way to the world of that Christ light that shines in each one of us. We have the power of the Jesus Spirit in us. And so in this way, we can show the world how things can be. We're an accepting community. We love all that we are. And we are very blessed to have this community to be our spiritual guide. For all of these gifts, God, we are so grateful, and we say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. So this morning from we have Deb Kakisi, who will share today's daily word. Deb?
Good morning. This morning's daily word is let go, let God. I let go and trust the divine in me. When faced with a decision to make, do my thoughts turn immediately to divine guidance, or do I seek God's help only when all else fails? Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore wrote that God loves to be used And the more you use him, the more easily you use him, and the more pleasant his help becomes. God lives in me and expresses through me. All of the attributes of God are as near as my next thought. I release my attachment to limited human reasoning. I center my mind and heart on the constant flow of divine love, wisdom, understanding, and strength. In the divine flow, I find answers to questions. New possibilities for good emerge. I move forward with confidence. From Deuteronomy 4:29, from there you will seek the Lord your God, and you will find him if you search after him with all your heart and soul. I let go and trust the divine in me, and I invite you to affirm with me out there. I let go and trust the divine in me.
I let go and trust in the divine in me. Thank you, Deb. So our plan at the moment is if we cannot get Audrey back online, which we are attempting as I am speaking, then our alternative plan today will be to have Janine play some more music. So fear not, there will be a service at this moment. We're not exactly sure what that's going to be, but whatever it is, it will be spiritual. This is the time in our service where we can affirm our statement of faith, and I invite you to join me together with There Is Only One. Together, please. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, all power, presence, and wisdom. It is in God that I live, move, and have our being. And so it is.
Oh, let go and let God. Is that not perfect today? Oh, I love that. And you know, I don't mind practicing that. Not at all. Because I work on the trust of who I am, the divinity that is within me. So let's do this. Let's invite a little bit of joy here. I invite joy, joy, joy. And I invite peace within. And I invite love, pure love, to come home again. Come home to me, joy, joy, joy. And I invite peace within. And I invite love, pure love, to come home again. Now let's put a hand on our heart as we sing this. And I want you to grin. I want your muscles to grin in that beautiful face. It does something to the brain. Let's do this again. I invite joy, joy, joy. And I invite peace within. And I invite love, pure love, to come home again. Come home to me, joy, joy, joy. And I invite peace within. And I invite love, pure love, to come home again. One more time. Come home to me, joy, joy, joy. And I invite peace within. And I invite love, pure love, to come home again. Come home to me. And as we come home, we know that the angels are watching over us night and day, day and night. All right, here we go. Oh, all night, all day, angels watching over me, my Lord. All night, all day, angels watching over me. Sun is setting in the west, angels watching over me, my Lord. Sleep, my child, and take a rest, angels watching over me. All night, watching over me, my Lord. All night, all day, angels watching over me. Let's do it again. Sun is setting in the west, angels watching over me, my Lord. Sleep, my child, and take your rest. Angels watching over me all night, all day. Angels watching over me, my Lord. All night, all day. Angels watching over me all night, all day. Angels watching over me, my Lord. All night, all day, angels watching over me. I'm hoping that you feel the presence. We invite that in. You know, we're going through a lot right now. We're going through a whole lot. And we know that we can get through this because of the mountains we've climbed, the valleys we've crawled through. We know we can get through this. We're strong. We are so strong. All right, here. Let me take a sip. All right. Look at the mountains I have already climbed. Look at the valleys I've crawled through. Sing this with me. Look at the storms that I have already sailed. That's how I know. That's how I know. I know that my strength will see me through. Every time, yes, my strength will see me through. Let's do it even bigger. Look at the mountains I have already climbed. Look at the valleys I've crawled through. Just a couple. Look at the storms that I have already sailed. That's how I know. That's how I know. I know that my strength will see me through. Every time, yes, my strength will see me through. We're gonna do it one more time. Look at the mountains I have already climbed. Look at the valleys I've crawled through. Look at the storms that I have already sailed. That's how I know. That's how I know. I know that my strength will see me through. Not once, every time, yes, my strength will see me through. I believe that my strength will see me through. All right. There she is.
Thanks, Janine.
Audrey.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me okay. So lovely to hear the music this morning, and many thanks to everyone who's part of creating this service and adjusting as we all adjust to technology. So today's talk is about healing and wholeness, and you know me, I like to laugh, so I'll start with a joke. So the doctor said to Joe, I have some bad news for you. You've only got 6 months to live. And Joe said, oh no, I won't make it to my next wedding anniversary, and I won't see my kids grow up, and oh doc, I won't even be able to pay your bill. And the doctor said, all right, in that case, I'll give you a year. We know that when we look at healing and wholeness, that our consciousness, our thinking, has a great deal of participation in our experience of healing and wholeness. And so today we're going to talk about how healing and wholeness are connected to the unity movement, I'm going to share what healing and wholeness means to me personally, and then also some strategies for inviting greater healing and wholeness into our lives. Some of you know I've been teaching a class for the past 3 weeks on healing and wholeness, and I've been so blessed to learn from people who are part of Unity of Olympia and people who are around the country studying these interesting ideas. The Unity movement was actually born out of a spiritual healing experience. Our co-founder, Myrtle Fillmore, back in the 1880s, was dying. She was in her 40s. She had tuberculosis, and this was at a time that tuberculosis killed a great percentage of people who had that condition. Modern medicine did not exist at the time as we know it. There was no such thing as aspirin. There was no such thing as penicillin. Those were decades away from being available. And Myrtle was pretty desperate. She and her husband went to hear a speaker named E.B. Weeks, and Myrtle heard the words that changed her life. And these words were, "I am a child of God, and I do not inherit sickness." Now, to this point, Myrtle had believed that she inherited ill health through her family, and she saw herself up till this point as a sickly person. But with this new idea, she began to change her thoughts, and she began to change the way she talked to her body. Now, it took her some time. She'd had 40 plus years of thinking one way. And sometimes when we start to think of a new idea, it takes a while for our consciousness to grab hold. But over the course of 2 years, Myrtle affirmed her health. She blessed her body and all the parts of it. And she even asked parts of her body for forgiveness for having not sent them love previously. And within 2 years, she was healed of the tuberculosis. Now, her friends and her family, and even her husband, who considered himself a scientist and maybe not so much a believer as Myrtle, they all noticed that something had happened, and they started coming to Myrtle to find out what was it that she had done and could they help her. And out of this experience came prayer meetings, which eventually became Silent Unity. And throughout the course of the development of the Silent Unity service, Myrtle was very clear that when people came to her to ask for prayer, she wasn't giving them something magical or special that she had. She was working with them to teach them, to pray with them, to affirm with them what they could affirm for themselves, this idea of healing and wholeness. We know that Unity's 5 basic principles are connected to the idea of healing and wholeness as well. Our first basic principle, that we recognize that God is all good and everywhere present, we move away from an idea of God being this big guy up in the sky who might get angry at us and punish us for something. We know that in Unity, God is unchanging. God is always love. And in the larger culture, we might sometimes hear messages about, oh, why is God doing this to me? And God's punishing me, or God left me. And in Unity, we believe that God does not work that way. God does not punish us. God does not abandon us. As Unity author Eric Butterworth says, there is no spot where God is not. So we know that we are always accompanied and blessed by the Most High. And because of principle 2, that we believe that human beings are all expressions of divinity and we're all inherently good, we know that whatever we envision God to be, we are as well. We see God as divine life itself, divine vitality itself, divine wholeness itself. And so we know that these qualities are ours as well. And we can use these if we are having an opportunity to focus on greater healing and wholeness. In her book, How to Let God Help You, Myrtle Fillmore says, when we use the word truth, we mean that which is true of God and true of God's children. The spiritual truth is that you are God's own beloved child, and that God is ever giving you His own wisdom, love, power, life, and substance. And just on a side note, She referred to God as he, even though she acknowledged that God was principal and not, again, the big guy up in the sky. So we know that whatever blessing we identify with God, whatever good experience of life and wholeness we envision God to be, that we are that as well. For just like Myrtle, we're all children of God. We do not inherit sickness. Now, when I speak, I always like to ask people what they think. And I don't have the opportunity to hear from you today, so I hope you give some thought to the idea of what healing and wholeness means to you. When I looked up some synonyms, some words that mean the same thing as healing and wholeness, I came across words like cure, mend, restore, repair, rebuild, make well, healthy, sound, fit, and sturdy. And the reality is that for many people, healing and wholeness may have many dimensions. It could have a physical dimension. Maybe there's something in our bodies we're healing, or a spiritual dimension. Maybe in our relationship with the divine, we need or have a desire for greater wholeness. There could be social healing, perhaps in relationships, or environmental healing, something between us and where we're living. Financial healing may be something that we're working on. We know that there is medical healing, working with the medical profession, and finally, emotional healing. Maybe there's an emotional wound within ourselves that is calling for wholeness. Like I mentioned earlier, we move away from an old idea of seeing illness as punishment or a sign that God has left us, because we know that God never leaves. And when we are in unity, we are also challenged to stay out of something that Reverend Terry calls metaphysical malpractice. So our third basic unity principle is that we co-create our reality and our experiences with the Most High, that we co-create through our ability to think and envision. And sometimes this is called the law of mind action. Thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Now, metaphysical malpractice is the idea of blame, that, oh, because of what I was thinking or because of what someone else was thinking, they brought this bad thing upon them. And the thing about metaphysical malpractice is it's just flat out not helpful. It's also not a new concept. So we read in the book of John, chapter 9, verses 2 and 3, when the disciples came upon a man who had been blind since birth. The disciples said to Jesus, "Rabbi, who sinned? Was it this man or was it his parents that he was born blind?" So again, this idea of looking for blame for the illness or the thing is not really a new idea. And Jesus replies, "Neither this man nor his parents sinned. He was born blind so that God's works might be revealed in him." Because in unity, we interpret the Bible metaphysically. We look at what does each character mean symbolically in my life and for me. When I look at this story, what I see is the disciples who are saying, hey, who's at fault, him or them? That's representative for me of sometimes how I initially react to ill health, that my first thought might be, what did I do? Or, darn it, how could this happen again? And so sometimes I do go to that place of judgment and harshness, especially with myself when I first have an experience of illness. And my journey and my practice is to remember Jesus's words, representing the Christ presence in us all and saying, hey, this is actually here so that God's works can come forward. Something good, a blessing is going to come to me out of this experience. This is an opportunity for me to manifest even more wholeness, even more life. Recently, after the COVID scare started, I felt like I was coming down with a cold. And so because of everything in the news, my first reaction was, oh no, do I have the COVID virus? And the initial mistaken beliefs, as our Unity writer, Dr. Emily Cady calls them, the initial mistaken beliefs that came up for me were very revealing. So the first idea that I realized I had in my consciousness when this cold came about was that it's not okay for me to be sick because I have to take care of other people, and it's not okay for me to expect to be taken care of by others. Eek. And the second mistaken belief that came up for me was other people will think I'm faking it if I'm sick. Ugh. And how wonderful that I had this experience of this cold that excavated these mistaken beliefs so that I could be conscious of them and work on healing them. And then actually after that occurred, I took the steps I usually take when I'm feeling like I'm fighting off a cold, and I was well within 24 hours. We know that healing and wholeness is not about perfection. Sometimes I wonder, did Unity co-founders Charles and Myrtle ever get a cold? Did they have seasonal allergies? Did they ever have indigestion or a hangnail? I don't know. They don't talk about ideas like that in their writings, but they do talk about working with these ideas, using these ideas as an opportunity to express greater healing and greater wholeness. And so I think it's also important with healing and wholeness to recognize that it's not about being perfect and healthy all the time. It's about what do we do when something that looks like ill health or a lack of healing and wholeness show up. And it can be an opportunity to practice, to remember our truth, that we are always whole and vital and well, regardless of the circumstances we find ourselves in. Myrtle Fillmore said that even when she was praying with others about their health condition, she said, healing these perishing bodies of the world of shadows is not the ultimate of truth, nor is it even a factor in the future glories of the permanent unfoldment, which will surely be the portion of those who come into full understanding. In other words, that it's about consciousness, that it's about my choice to live fully, to see myself as whole and vital and in each moment and one with source, regardless of what's happening in the outer, to do what I can and release attachment to the outcome, recognizing that physical healing may occur and it may not. And I always have the opportunity to work on my consciousness. It reminds me of another biblical story, this time from the book of Mark in chapter 2, where a man who is paralyzed is brought to Jesus. And Jesus tells this man, take up your mat and walk. And so it's the challenge to us to continually look at, where have I been paralyzed? Where can I take up my mat and walk? Where can I shift something in my consciousness, in my thinking, or in my life to improve my situation? Unity co-founder Myrtle Fillmore has so many great quotes, and I want to share another one with you. She says, first and last, one must understand and appreciate life and lay hold of the life faculty in such a way as to keep a vital interest in living and in bringing the body to its highest point of development, not necessarily to a given number of pounds, nor to a given strength, nor to the point where it heeds merely the demands of the personal will and ambition, but to the goal of the radiant health and freedom that comes from living within, in harmony with the inner intelligence and the Christ pattern. And that's from her book, Healing Letters. You and I both probably all know people who are dealing with immense physical challenges and who are still positive, loving, engaged, excited about life, vital and whole. And that's something that I appreciate so much about our community within Unity, is that there are so many people who are living their lives to the fullest, regardless of any circumstances they may find themselves in. So what are some strategies for inviting greater healing and wholeness into our lives? And again, if we were together live, I would ask you your thoughts. So in the absence of being able to do that, I'm going to share my own healing story. I had shared the last time I spoke at Unity of Olympia back in January that I was dealing with a health challenge. And I let you all know it wasn't contagious, and I hoped you would still be my friend. I was blessed at the end of 2019 with a physical and emotional health challenge. And friends, it did not feel like a blessing at the time that it was going on. Around the time of the winter solstice, I was struck with profound anxiety. I was in a work situation that was really challenging for me. And I thought I had been managing the stress pretty well. And around the time of the solstice, the anxiety ramped up. I couldn't eat. I actually lost 12 pounds and I couldn't sleep. I kept waking up startled in the middle of the night with my stomach churning. So I had the opportunity to apply some of what I know. One strategy that I used was I started tuning in to what I was hearing and what people were saying to me that resonated with my truth. I had spoken with a counselor in the middle of December, and he had suggested I look for a different job. And initially, my reaction was, "What do you mean?" And upon further reflection, I realized, oh, I can let the situation go. I can find another source for employment. My husband, who's very wise, asked me, what would my best friend recommend? And my best friend is also very wise. She's a mental health counselor. And I realized, oh, my best friend had recommended a book to me about anxiety 6 months previously. I had bought the book and it was sitting unread on my nightstand. And so I thought, oh, I could start reading that book, looking for ideas that may be helpful. And I did. I took advantage of the opportunity to create a vision board on New Year's Eve at Unity of Olympia. And I loved the opportunity to focus on what do I want to create? Because sometimes when we have an experience in our lives that is not what we want, it's an opportunity to get clear on what is it that we do want. That experience with the Unity of Olympia community that day was also very precious to me. I sat near Stacy Camp, Suze Marshall, and Betty Bailey. And I had conversations with all three of them that warmed my heart. I don't know if any of them realized what a profound struggle I was going through that day, but it was so precious to me to be able to connect with them and other people in our community and know that I had a place that I was supported and loved and where I belonged. And so rooting into community is another great strategy for regaining our healing and wholeness. I prayed extensively during this time. I have a prayer partner and we already pray every day. Every Sunday, I was up praying with whoever was in front of the church, asking for them to affirm with me my highest and best. And I also called Silent Unity multiple times, praying with them, knowing that they were holding my intention in prayer for an extended period of time. We know that thoughts held in mind produce after their kind, the law of mind action. And we know too that when these thoughts are animated by feeling, they can be even more powerful. And so one idea I took into meditation was, what would it feel like to have a job that was a better fit for me? What would it feel like to do work that lights me up inside? And I spent time focusing on generating that feeling. And that provided me clarity to write a vision statement that I put on my vision board that I'd created on New Year's Eve. Around this time, Reverend Terry challenged us with the 30-day challenge. And so part of my 30-day challenge was spending my meditation time focusing on my vision board, using denials and affirmations, some that I had written myself around my situation, and some from the 12 Powers class and our 12 Powers event last fall that we did together on World Day of Prayer. And during these meditation times, I also did breath work and body work that were specific to helping heal the anxiety. I'm happy to share that by the middle of January, I saw the divine perfect job for me and put it in application. By the middle of February, I was interviewing for that job. And in the middle of March, I started that job. But even better, as I moved through those steps, the anxiety lessened. I was able to eat again. The 12 pounds came back, man. And I was able to sleep once more. I had that peace of mind restored. Now, I don't ever want to go back to where I was in December and January. It was a pretty awful time. And I recognized that I had great blessings that came out of that time. The opportunity to tune in, to understand the power of visioning and prayer, to know that I could generate the feeling that I wanted to experience in meditation. And most of all, the opportunity to prove the truth I know, that our healing and wholeness are available to us in each situation. And so I'm very grateful for that experience. And I am grateful to be on the other side of it. When I was going through my licensed Unity teacher classes, I always felt a little intimidated when people talked about making a demonstration, using what we know in Unity to make a demonstration. Because in my thinking, that meant, I have to prove to someone outside of me how holy I am, or how smart I am, or how in tune with the divine I am. And a very wise teacher of mine, Reverend Pat Venema, who's friends with Reverend Terry, shared that making a demonstration is not about something in the outer or proving to someone else, that making a demonstration is working to change our own consciousness, that change happens in the inner before it happens in the outer. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore, in his book Christian Healing, says, by a right understanding and by using right thoughts and words, we will regain the kingdom within, and we will be reinstated in the Garden of Eden. We apprehend only according to the receptivity, steadfastness, understanding, and persistent faith of our mind. But we grow in faith and understanding, and no matter how slowly we seem to be progressing, we should never be discouraged or give up. Everyone is heir to this higher thought consciousness, and all must eventually attain it. I love that hope, that hopeful message. So I don't want to deny that there is illness in the world. We know in Unity that whenever these experiences come up, they are asking to be healed. And even having gone through a healing experience recently, I recognize I have other issues in me that are calling to be healed, other opportunities to practice healing in my own consciousness. We know that it's not about perfection. It's about remembering our truth, the practice of going back to recognizing that we are greater than any anxiety. We are greater than any virus, that the truth of us is that we are greater than any condition. We know that we can always use our tools. And I listed some that I used. I didn't even scratch the surface with my fingernail of all the tools out there. Some other ideas around healing that I've heard that I think are beautiful are spending time in nature, dancing, listening to music, singing, creating art, laughing, spending time with our pets. And let's not forget medical care, because in Unity, even though we believe that healing has a spiritual opportunity in it for us, we're not opposed to using doctors and getting medical care. And I know that, for example, if I ever broke my leg, I would not try to fix it myself. I would get some medical help, and then I would do the things that I can do on my own as well. We remember that regardless of what is going on in the outer, we can always change our consciousness and tune into the healing and wholeness that is each of ours right now as heirs to the kingdom, as children of the Most High, that we know this gift of divine life is always present, always with us. So I'm sending each of you love, blessings, and affirming abundant health for you, for our world, for myself, for all the ones we love. Blessings, blessings, and thank you all.
Thank you, Audrey. That was beautiful. So let's co-create a little more wellness within and in our inner and our outer world with this song. Let's bring it forward with our voice, with our intention. So let's close our eyes. We're gonna ease into the heart a little bit here. All is well in this moment. All is well in my world. All is well in this moment. All is well in our world. All is well in this moment. All is well in my world. All is well in this moment. And all is well in our world. Let's do it again. All is well in this moment. All is well in my world. All is well in this moment. All is well in our world. So as we relax, get comfortable in our chair, let's invite that pure essence of life, the pure essence of life, with 3 slow, deep breaths. Hello, life. We're going to activate an inner softening. I want you to scan the lower half of the body, beginning with the feet. We invite the muscles to relax. And we're just going to softly enter this divine healing field of presence. I want you to look for signs of life, movement within those lower extremities, tingling. Now let's move our attention up to the upper half of the body. Breathing nice and deep. Again, looking for signs of life, movement, presence. We're inviting relaxation. We're inviting that to invigorate the body and invigorate the heart. We invite the stillness to activate the memory of the honor, the absolute honor that it is to be here at this time of humanity's great awakening. What a privilege. Like a soft wind, let's invite that breath into the heart. We are light bearers. Feel into your magnificent light. Feel it in your body. We are way showers. I want you to feel into your ability to model conscious divinity. We are miraculous beings, ever learning and growing with grace, with faith, with compassion for all, not some, compassion for all. This is home. This is home. And all is well in this moment. I want you to repeat after me. I am the expression of wholeness. I am the illuminated essence of peace. I am the pure source light of goodness. We are active expressions of love. Feel what happens in your body when you're saying these words. All right, if this feels comfortable to you, let's raise a hand and let's declare these truths one more time. Let's do it in our authority. Let's call it forward and feel what happens in our body when we say these truths. I am the expression of wholeness. I am the illuminated essence of peace. I am the pure source light of goodness. And we are active expressions of love. Let's carry these truths into the silence. As we bring our consciousness back to our body, feeling those feet on the ground. We remind ourselves that all is well in this moment. Right now, all is well. All is well in this moment. All is well in my world. All is well in this moment. All is well in our world. All is well in this moment. All is well in my world. All is well in this moment. All is well in our world. Feel it in your body.
Well, thank you so much, Janine. I just want to take a moment to give you a little bit of information about today's service. As you may suspect, the worship team gets together a few minutes before the service, and we huddle and we talk about the service. And when Audrey came on the screen, we can all see each other. This is exactly what Audrey sounded like. And all of us are going like, we can't hear you. And so we had the opportunity before the service began to apply let go and let God. And we came up with a plan B. But as I acknowledge each week, we are all here by divine appointment. And so while you were watching me light the Christ candle and Deb read the daily word and Janine sing her beautiful songs, Karen Reddick and Audrey were wildly working in the background to get Audrey back online. And so I always like to acknowledge you have the opportunity to see Janine, to see Deb, to see me, and today see Audrey, but you don't always see the people in the background. And so Deb Walter is the person who is our director, and you never see Deb, but she's the one that does all the transitions so seamlessly and beautifully. And Karen Reddick today was really here by divine appointment because she was the one that found a way to get Audrey back online. And I am grateful to all of these people, and I want to acknowledge them. So we hope that all of today's worship team would like to welcome each and every one of you. And we trust that this streaming service is feeding your spirit in these difficult times. Together, we can continue to hold the high watch for the good of our church, our planet, and everyone on it. Now, as always, there are a lot of things going on at Unity of Olympia, so we want you to go onto our website and check this out. We have affirmative prayer circles. We have community connections, and that is the alternative Wednesday service, which I really recommend highly. And we also have What If Upping. Now, you need to register for each of these. You need to go online and register for each of these activities, so please don't miss out. Also, the new thing this week is that the spirit groups are beginning in June. And likewise, you need to register for that. And in order to do so, you would go onto our website and you will go at the top of the screen. You'll see a link called Get Connected, and then you will see one for spirit groups. Or you can also see the website, the link on your screen right now. There are 4 spirit groups that you can sign up for. Information is all available on the website, and the first one begins on June the 2nd. They are at different times. They're about different themes. So I really recommend that you go online and check those out. So I also want to invite you to into a service that affirms the divine in all by helping to provide some lunches to the Martin Way Shelter on Wednesdays through the month of June. Please send an email to either Sandy or Kathy at communitycoordinator@unityofolympia.org. Now, I personally can attest to this because I participated in the first week, and I was very lucky and fortunate to have members of my OU men team step up for last week. And basically, I think you will find that it's something that is really worthy, and it gives us the opportunity to do what we say we want to do, namely serve our community. So please consider that. Contact either Sandy or Kathy, and they will give you all the necessary details. Also, at the end of the service today, please join us for our Zoom Sunday Fellowship. Now, the link and password to that were sent out in the e-blast yesterday. And so grab your coffee, grab a snack, grab whatever it is that you like to have during our Zoom time together, and please join us. If you are not on the email list, you can also go to the Unity website, click on the media tab, and then the newsletter tab, and you can sign up. And that is a way that you can be a part of this, and you'll get all of the information of what's happening at Unity of Olympia. We all know that during this time, we're all concerned about our own health, both spiritual and physical. And I certainly want to recommend that you continue to consider the health of the church as well. When you make a conscious contribution, it enables us to support the church to continue with these services and provide nourishment for those who may also be needing to hear or wanting to hear our message. If you are not an electronic contributor, you can go online and you can contribute in that way, or you can also text your contribution in to 360-234-2668. So at this time, I would ask you to take your contribution into spirit, into your mind, perhaps into your hand, and let's bless it together with divine love. Please join me. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Open to the sacred richness of our infinite source, we, as Unity of Olympia, joyfully co-create unlimited prosperity right now. Thank you, God.
Thank you, Greg. You know what? Next week we have the amazing Robin Fisher coming in. You are not going to want to miss that. Oh, it's going to be good. All right, let's place a hand on our heart and affirm, I am a living blessing. We are all living blessings. Let's do this together. I am a living blessing everywhere I go. I am a living blessing, spreading peace and love in this world. And all I do is breathe. And all I do is breathe. And all I do is breathe. And I am a living blessing in this world. And you are. Feel this. You are a living blessing everywhere you go. You are a living blessing, spreading peace and love in this world. And all you do is breathe. And all you do is breathe. And all you do is breathe. And you are a living blessing in this world. And guess what? We are a living blessing everywhere we go. We are a living blessing, spreading peace and love in this world. And all we do is breathe. And all we do is breathe. And all we do is breathe. And we are a living blessing in this world. Let's sing that last line. And we are a living blessing in this world. That's right. And we are a living blessing in this world. That's right. We are. You are. So happy to be with you all today.
Thank you. Thank you, Janine, for blessing us with that beautiful music. let's take a moment and step into prayer together to close out our service. So together, let's affirm the great blessing that was taken to the first moon landing. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Blessings, abundant wholeness, and life are here for each of us. And I hope we recognize that and take that in our hearts out into the world. See you all soon. Have a wonderful week.